Hello everyone, welcome to AI Noob. If you're looking for experts, this is not the place. What we're going to do is just think of things we want to try to make work. We're going to try to make workflows. A little bit about me, I am a developer, but I know nothing, very little about N8N or Naten or whatever the tool is called. But we're going to try to fumble through this thing and get some things working. So I know there's a ton of experts, and gurus out there on this thing. This is not the place for that. But if you're having trouble following along with some of those gurus and experts, this may be the place for you because we're going to have to go through this slow and troubleshoot and sort of learn as we go. So the first thing that I want to figure out how to do is maybe go out to Google Maps and grab some leads and get some emails into like a spreadsheet. Maybe we'll use Google spreadsheets, and we'll take that and just see if we can get that to sort of work so we can feed the spreadsheet with email addresses. And that's what we'll do for this workflow. And then we'll do another one in the next video, follow-up, where we'll take those email addresses and maybe send an email. So then maybe we can automate this whole thing together. But who knows? We'll see. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a trigger, right? Because something has to start the program. Okay. The next thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Google Maps. Right. So here I am at Google Maps, and I'm just gonna search like it's Columbus, Ohio, just really anything, because basically what I'm searching this for anything. Oh look, there you go. What I'm searching this for is just to sort of learn what the URL structure is. So obviously it has the base URL, and then it has my variable, which is the NM I actually typed in here, and then it breaks into some extended data. It looks like longitude, latitude, things like that. But I believe if we get rid of that and hit enter, I believe, yeah, this will still come up, and then it'll add sort of the secondary back part. So because this is being added automatically, I don't think we need to be concerned with it. So I think our concern is first, how do we get to this page so we can scrape this page, right? So I'm just going to take this as the variable right now, and I'm going to copy that. Now what I need to do is I need to go back here and see how I can get this started this program to say, here's the variables I want to send to you. How can I do that? So if I click or double click, I think I double click on this thing, will bring me into some kind of configuration. Fine. See, I don't have any idea what it's going to do. But if I hit set mock data, yeah, well, this looks like just like a standard JSON type of deal. So what I want to do is just send a query, right? So if I get rid of this name and just type in query, right? And I type in what's the query, I'm going to hard code this in right now, right? Which is exactly what it was, psychics plus Columbus plus Ohio, because that's exactly the way it's shown in the URL. That's fine. This is a different container, different section. I don't need it. This comma always is to delineate the two, so I don't need it. This code I don't need because I want to send the query. Another comma here delineates the second line, but let me hit save. It should error, hopefully. That error. So you can't even get it wrong if you tried. It'll make you backspace it out, it looks like. So that's pretty nice. So you can't even mess up your your string there. So that's pretty good. So I'm just going to close it and say, okay, and if I have this variable, what do I need to do? Well, I need to send it to this HTTP address, right? So if I go in there and search and see, well, I think maybe I should hit this plus. I wonder if I don't hit that plus, what happens? HTTP. So there's a request. Okay. Well, this is easy, right? So I'm going to go and grab this base. right? Because at the end of the day, what I want to see is I want to see that full URL. Like right there's the URL. And then I somehow have to attach that previous step into it. Like if I just test this right now, I mean, I get something, but I have no idea what, because it's not really passing any data to it. So the question is, oh, I see. It's not passing any data to it because it's not connected. So what I'm going to have to do, I mean, you could probably leave this anywhere. I'm just going to move it here for organizational. It's just move the plus and connect it. So now that this thing, which is the query, is connected to this thing, which is the URL, you can see, oh, this is kind of convenient. You can see the query's over here. So what I want, just like in this URL, it has like the search string and then the variable that you're searching for. So what I want is to grab that and put it at the end. So if I grab this thing, I wonder, okay, oh yeah, you can just move it over. So I'm going to put it at the end. Well, I'm not sure why it would never go in the front, so I'm just going to let it go. Oh, I see. It doesn't matter. If you put it in the front, it puts it at the end. I don't like this space because, you see, this is the way the URL would be, so I just kind of, I'm going to backspace that once. Again, this platform may parse those things out. It's not an issue, but yeah, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I want the URL to look identical. Oh, look, it looks identical to this as it does to this. And that's exactly what I want, because I know that's going to work, right? Because it's going to return a set of data. But here's the thing. Whenever I send something to Google, I always, and you can read about this, and I always do this anyway, there's this thing called user agent. There's a couple things that I know are gotchas with Google just from programming, right? One is if you try to send a lot of data, sometimes it'll know that you're sort of a bot or whatever, and it'll just shut you down. You'll see some errors. But there is this Google, like you can have a Google API search or something like that where you can sort of bring up your own search engine. I think it's free or whatever, and then you can bomb the crap out of that, I think. But I'm not going to really concern myself with that because that isn't what I'm trying to do here. But what I am trying to do is figure out, you see, whenever you give something a name, it needs a value. So whenever I send something to Google, I always go by default and say, find user data, Google dev data. I don't, okay, user targeting, this is perfect. There's a string that you need. It's this string right here, say user agent, Mozilla, whatever. This is just a Google thing. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to grab this whole string. And the reason I'm not, I mean, if I was coding, I would code in this whole string. But because this is some sort of GUI interface, I'm assuming that the reason I named it, it's probably going to attach it to the front for me automatically. So I think if I just paste the value in itself, and I think that's sort of why it's segregated, is because it's going to put this user agent colon, then the value behind it. So I think it's probably going to do that for me. I think. So I'm going to test that sub just to make sure it goes through. So all you guys that aren't coders or whatever, this crap, no one really looks at or knows. I mean, you could search through it and find some email addresses if you want, but we're going to worry about that next, right? Because what we're going to want to do is we're going to put it into like a table, if you will. Then it'll be a lot easier to read. No one really reads this, so don't be intimidated by it is the point. So it's closed. So if I've gotten the request and that URL looks fine, what I'm going to do now is sort of make a table out of it, right? I think that's probably the next step that would be good to look into. That way we can understand the data better. Because the whole point of this first section is to get the data, organize the data, filter the data, get the data the way we want it before we start throwing it into any kind of program or anything. So we just have to figure out if this thing has an option for tables or maybe what would we have for data? Well, most GUIs, or most of these sort of automated system does have like fields that allow you to enter code. So this thing looks like it takes JavaScript or Python. We're going to stay with JavaScript because I'm just more comfortable with that, although Python's okay too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in this code in here. So what I'm going to do for everybody watching, I'll make a thing to include the code. But I'm going to name this sort of table formation, right? Basically just saying that it's formatting the tables, hopefully, is the goal, right? So if I run a test on that, I'm not sure what happened, but let's go look at it. So there's 200 seconds, something was successful. So if I just look at it, if I can, I'm double clicking it again. I don't know why this screen's so big. I don't know how to get rid of it, I suppose. Because I kind of want to see the data behind it. Or, this thing is freaking huge. I'm trying. I don't know what the heck's going on. Oh, I guess you can drag and drop this. Okay. I don't know why it was like that. I don't know what I did, but I mean, it just shows you. Just click around and stuff. So basically what this thing did was, with this script, it took this data, which is a bunch of stuff that you could look through, and it actually just went out, found the URLs, and then they put them in a nice table for me, and then look, it's sort of like paginated all the way through there. So, okay, that's what it was supposed to do. Sorry about the screen. I have no idea why that happens. Like I said, I don't know anything about this tool, but we're going to struggle through. So now that we have it in a table, the next problem is, like, it's showing a whole bunch of stuff that I certainly don't want. It's a whole bunch of stuff I certainly don't want to go through these URLs, right? Because these URLs are supposed to be URLs of what I use, psychics, and of course none of these are. So I'm going to filter those out somehow. So we'll either find a filtering node or something. Okay, great. So as long as we have these nodes, I think it makes it so we have to do a lot less coding is the point. So if I say, okay, look, this is great too. So if I say take this URL, so this is a variable, so I don't have to drag in a particular URL. So I can say, hey, go through this table of URLs, right? And I said, hey, listen, if it doesn't match, and let's just put something like Google, because I saw Google in there, right? So it's gonna, this means it's gonna stay a valid email address unless it has the word Google in it. I mean URL, not email address, sorry, URL. It's gonna make it a valid URL unless it has the word Google in it. So if I hit test, I should have some still available and some blocked. So yeah, so I kept 133, but I discarded anything that had the word Google in it because that's not going to be a URL for a psychic. There's some other things like this too. So if I take this, I'm just going to double click it. I'm going to do Control C. I'm going to come over here with no spaces and do Shift and put a pipe in there. And I'm going to go Control V. Because if I test that, and you should test this every step of the way, I see now schema's gone. So now I don't want anything with this GGHT in it, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. Copy it, pipe it, paste it, and get rid of it. What I'm trying to do is filter out, like, you know, things I don't like. Like, I don't like this G-static thing. So I'm going to come up here, pipe it out, get rid of it, and test that. So that'll be gone. So I got 21 items left. But now look what I've got. I've got psychic emails. I mean, yeah, not emails. I keep saying emails, but they're URLs, right? So I've got URLs, and I've got this stuff, but I'm going to leave that for now, and I'll show you later options that we have, right? And if you look at it, probably formats it all into a nice little JSON for us. Don't think we'll need that, but we may need it later if we run into things that aren't automated enough for us. Okay, so now we've filtered them out. Now, not necessarily for us, but I think later when we actually have a lot of things this is going to go through, I think our problem is going to be that we may run into duplicate emails. URLs, duplicate URLs, right? So I may want to remove any kind of duplicate. So I'm going to see if there's okay, there is a remove duplicates, that's fine. Remove items repeated within current input. Yeah, because what comes into this thing, if it's repeated, I want it to be moved. So what will be moved, right? So what will be moved is this URLs thing, right? So I want to say, hey, if there is something repeated in the data that's coming in, don't spit it out. You know, remove the data, remove the duplicates, and leave me with the originals. So it doesn't look like there is any duplicates in this one. So it's still 21 items. Okay. I didn't think there was going to be in any of these because it's such a small sample size. But when it gets larger, it's definitely something that we should think about. Okay. So now what we've done is we've gone out, we've gotten the data, we've cleaned up the data into the table, we've filtered out some things we didn't like, and then we removed duplicates. So now what we should do is run this thing into the first loop, meaning now that we've got this data, we should do something with it. So what we're going to do with this data is we're going to take this data and we're going to do some kind of looping. Okay, so loop over items split in batches. Let's do that. Okay. The only thing that I'm ever concerned about in looping is if something fails, it usually stops things, right? So I think we specifically have to tell it, listen, if there's a problem, just keep going, right? Using error output, which is great. So what this will do, if you look at this thing right now, you see there's a done and a loop. So we need to have a condition, what's going to happen for an error. So I think I say continue using error output. So if I add this, I think on this interface it's going to add a third one, yeah, called error. Because let me get rid of this other stuff. I don't know why it puts this in by default. Maybe it's to help new people like us understand that it has to loop somewhere. But okay, so when something gets, this data is going to get fed into there. And now we say, what are we going to do with it? So there's three things that are going to happen. First, it's going to do the loop. So we have to do something for the loop, right? And then after it loops through that several times and it gets its data, then this is going to be done running. When this is done running, what do we want to do with it, right? And if there's an error, what do we want to do with it? So that's what these pluses are for. I think it's going to let us add the actual items to tell it the jobs we want it to do, right? So now we just got to figure out what we want it to do. So what we're going to do is start with our loop. So let's do like a HTTP request. Okay. This is great. But the idea is, look, there's no input to it, so I'll probably have to type something here. But being lazy, I want to try to bring the input up to this node, right? So there's nothing here yet. But if I start at the beginning and test workflow, hopefully it'll go through. Yeah, it's got a problem running this one, but that's okay. Because hopefully, if I open this now and I execute the previous node's data, it brings in this URL. And so now I can just drag and drop it. So I like that idea a lot because this way I don't make a typo. So, I mean, more often than not, sometimes I forget to add the $sign in front of the JSON, and of course that'll error. And then if you try to run the whole workflow, it's going to be very difficult to go back and find how many different items you messed up. So if we test step by step through this thing, I think that's the way to go. We're just looking for this as success. It brought it in, everything's great. But now a loop has to go around to itself. So like data has to come into here, go to here, loop back to itself, keep going around in circles for as many items as we have. And then when it's finished, it has to do something. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to loop it back on itself. So this is making a loop, you can see. So if I test this workflow, I think I can move this workflow up so you can see it actually better. What we're looking for is a whole bunch of check marks, and what we're looking for is it to be looping some sort of data, whatever the amount of data is. No, there's a problem. So what we have to do is now we have to go research this problem. And so this is a good opportunity for you to see what it is we've done wrong. And this is one of those times that why, if you go over to settings, it's going to say stop workflow. This is one of those times that I want it to just continue, right? And so, because if it runs into an error with a URL, and it'll just stop there, it won't go past any others. And obviously the first one's a little malformed. So maybe that has something to do with it. So what I'm going to do is I just told this node, if you do run into a problem URL, I'm going to rename this too so it makes sense, because I think we're going to have to do something later. Remove, I'm going to put remove duplicate URLs. I think that's important. Because later, you know, the whole shtick is we're going to get emails, and we're probably going to have to remove duplicate emails after this happens, but I just wanted to rename that to keep it clear. So now, since I told this thing to continue if it ever gets bad data, let's see what happens now. Okay, see now it's looping, because it just excused that first one being bad. Now what we're looking for is this loop to end at some point. Obviously it's going to skip or continue past any ones that are bad form data, so I don't know how many of those there are. So I basically have to wait this out and see what it is. But the thing about it is I'm going to show you I shouldn't have to wait past more items than it kept coming into the loop. So let this finish. If it finishes, or if it throws another error, we'll figure out where we are from there. But if you look at this thing, you see there's 21 items, and it's only on item 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. So now it's all done, it all made itself. So this loop should not exceed 21 items, right? Because if you've put yourself in a bad loop, you're going to see it increase past the data that's being input into it, which basically what we tell a loop is take the items that are coming into it and loop through that set of data. So if it's trying to loop through this 289, that's a problem. So, but this isn't a problem, so it looped through this data just fine, right? So we see this URL, it all came through, everything's good. That loop's good. So now that this loop is done, and you see we have 18 items, not 21, because it now parsed out the other ones. I want to send it to another loop, right? Because we've got to send this now somehow to find out that, right. And since it's a loop, I'm going to say continue, right? And then I'm going to delete this thing, which I think is just something to try to help me out. I mean, that makes no sense why it's there. Same thing with this. And I turned on the error, and I'm going to put it above my other loop. And then I'm going to grab all this to move it down. I might even make it smaller for a minute. Okay, same thing here. So we need it to do something, which is to take that and parse out the actual emails. And then when it's done, we need to aggregate everything, probably remove duplicate emails again, I would imagine, and then write it to Google Sheets. So I think that's the flow. But really, since I'm here, I'm going to test this one more time, because after this is officially done, I want to see it send it up here, because that's the next thing, right? So this got the data, cleaned it up to the best it could. This went in, parsed through the data, that's fine, and now it's going to send it up here. So as long as I get the data up here of the 18 that went successful last time out of the 21, well then we know we've now moved the data until the next stage of this program that we need, right? And I'm not sure it's going to work, but it did work. So that's really good, because then we got the data up here. So that's the next step. So now that it's up here, we have to loop it again. The problem is I just don't know if there's like an email thing or anything like that. So I think this might be, no, this is not an email trigger. We're not connecting it. We're not trying to send email. What we're trying to do is parse this into emails for us. So I don't see anything like that. So we're going to go back to the good old fashioned code, right? Because we know it takes Java at this point. So we want to put in the JavaScript that will make this happen. And this one we're going to call emails, right? We're going to rename that, and then we're going to put in the code to sort of do that work. So what I'll do is I'll also make this available wherever, down in the description or somehow, I'm not sure. YouTube will let me put code in this description, but if not, maybe I'll figure out a link and there'll be a link or something down there for you guys. So if I test this, what it should do is now go through all this nonsense, right, and say okay, and the node executed, so I'm fine with this, right? Again, yeah, I think I'm going to be happy. So let's see what happens if I test this workflow. Honestly, I probably do this more than necessary, but this way, I think what will happen is I'll be able to catch it when it fails, where it fails. So this went through. So what do we do with a loop? A loop specifically needs to go back and create a loop because it has one item, but maybe it has more items to feed it. So I'm going to take this and say, listen, loop us around in this circle. This looks a little confusing, but it's actually just, this is a loop, and this is my secondary, or my loop doing something else. So now I'm going to test that and make sure it doesn't get stuck in some crazy loop cycle or errors or whatever. So let's go through the first loop. We know it's good till there, right? Because we haven't messed with anything back there, so we know it's going to come up to the loop. So now this is going around, and it did 18 items. See, because it looped instead of having the one. So if I look at this now, you can see it has 18 screens out of this mess and pulled out emails. Like this is an email for whoever, right? So that's good. So now this is done. It did all this. So what do we need to do now? We need to somehow aggregate all this data and then maybe split it out to make some kind of sense and then send it to Google Sheets. So I don't know. There should be. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Aggregate. So we have this input field name, whatever. We're just testing things. So let's grab this email and put it here. And let's just run it, see what happens. So basically we're saying take that variable email, whatever. So I have no data up to there, which makes sense because it didn't pass anything. But I wonder if I can execute the previous node. I don't know. So let me look at that. So to do that, we're just going to execute the workflow. We'll execute the workflow again and see what happens. See if it makes it up there after done, first of all. Then we'll deal with, we make sure that it'll make it up there. Then we'll deal with its problem, which I think I know what its problem is, but I don't think it needs to send that variable like that. So I think if I open this thing, here are the emails, right? Yeah, that's what I mean. I brought over that, but I think it just needed the word emails because it's bringing it from the other side. So this is good. But I wonder if I can make this small again because I want to move it. But we've got some work to do over here. Okay. That looks good to me. Okay. So I think what I want to do is take this data and split it. Right? Okay, so it's split up now, right? So, okay. Still getting some crap like this I don't like. So we're going to have to, remember how we did remove duplicates down here for the URLs? We're going to want to do it up here as well for the emails. But before we do that, I want to filter things out a little bit. Because now, much like before, remember down here, I'll show you that in just a minute. So if I filter this out, I need, let's think about this for a second. I would expect, hold on, let's see, what are we splitting this out to? Right, so here's the list, emails. Splitting it out to 0 and 1. Oh, I see, here we go. I want to filter some of this stuff out, that's for sure. I'm going to take this email, right? And I'm going to say if this email address does not match, I'm going to type in century. I saw that on there somewhere. I'm going to run a test, see what happens. Okay. Node filter one, wrong contact, whatever. That's right. Okay, discarded 9 items. Does not match request, so. Oh. I don't think I want that. I think I want. No, I'm gonna go split out. Huh. This is interesting because I would assume that this should be in one table. So maybe go back and look at what we've done wrong. So let's move this here for a minute and test the workflow. I mean, I think it's going to run. I think it's just a weird way it should look. I mean, really, I want sort of one email table, so I'm going to go look at that and see what kind of caused that. Because that's not really what I want, because what I don't want, I'm thinking about the end. Like at the end, I don't want, I want to have a Google sheet that basically lists them all down here, like the email addresses, right? So I just don't want them all over the place. And so I'm trying to see, I think I can double click this thing. I'm trying to see, like if I just take this, for example, and say, test that doesn't need century, I don't think that's in there, right? So, one discarded item because it has like that century thing in there. But if I put a bar here, and I say get rid of this as well, because that's obviously not. Control V, and test this, I should have those gone too. Just weird. It just looks weird to me right now. But we will get through that and see what it does and come back and fix it if I can't manipulate that later to give me what I want. So okay, so now I've got a filter. It looks like it's going to throw out 8 items. Yeah, I think that's good. So what I would probably want to do is remove duplicate emails at this point. So I'm going to go back to this remove, but I'm going to call this, obviously remove what's coming in, but I'm going to call this remove duplicate emails. Because now I think I can say if there's anything duplicate of the email addresses, don't show them. Problem, remove duplicate emails, right? I wonder, test fields, right? But I wonder how much of this I have to do. Yeah, I don't want to do it like this. It should just be JSON emails. So I think this is where we run into a thing about it. Okay, let's see what the JSON. C000. See, these should all say like email. So obviously we've got to go back and look at that. Okay, so I wonder if, because I'm going to go fix this, I think. Yeah, so that's undefined, right? So for some reason, in my little thing here, I didn't correctly define my variable, so it's splitting it up this way. So we've got to look into that. So let me go back to this code node and see, here's a table. The JSON should say emails. So that's good up to that point, right? And then when I go into the aggregator, input field is emails. So we're good there. That's the aggregator. Now we're going to split it out. See, this is where it's being split out. I don't want that. Because what we don't want is we don't want to split it out in 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So we're going to just split it out instead with emails. Because if I do that, and then I go to this filter, and I just use the word emails, oops, right? I can call that because I got to make sure things are the same. Because if they're not the same, well, the problem is if it's looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, instead of the variable email, so obviously I just split it out wrong, and so I had to go back and make sure that was corrected. This is a good example of why we test every single node and everything we do. And then you're going to see we have duplicates, we have some things that are going on, and that's okay. So this is why we're going to start spreading things out. So I go back over to this table thing, and the things that are not, like, listen, here's, sure, info@gmail, that is an email, but that's not really some psychic's email. That's just some crap email somebody used. So I'm going to get rid of it, and I'm going to hit test. So now I'm going to get rid of everything. I'm going to filter out anything that says, info@gmail is what I want to get rid of. So, I don't know why. Oh, let's see here. Oh no, I should have, hold on. You see how it discarded everything? It's because this last one's in there. So it's saying that, there's another field coming, right? Which of course there's not. So let's get rid of this, anything with the word Sentry in it. So let's do that instead of this Gmail. Hold on for just a second. So let's get rid of that Sentry. Now let's just test that. So now anything with the word Sentry in it should go bye-bye, right? So I still have all of this. So mine does not match Red Hat. Email does not match Sentry. Oh, I've already have Sentry in there, my bad. So I need to take this, Control C, and then Control V, and then hopefully that'll get out of there. So this is what we're doing. We're just playing around, learning like these tools and what it's doing and what it's not doing. So what if I just say Wixpress, right? So I'm trying to filter out these emails because I don't want a bunch of crap in my thing, right? So let's just, and then in here I'm going to remove duplicates, JSON email. So if I do this, it should strip out any duplicates I have. Emails 1. What's that? So I'm going to get rid of that. Just to make sure I don't have anything typed wrong. Settings. I'm going to continue this thing. Right? Oh, that's not what I want to do. Sorry. I'm going to come back here, and now I'm going to test it. I'm going to say if you come across something bad, just keep going. So there's an error. So this is not what I want at all. See, array. Oh, I see. Look, there's an array. See, I don't want that. So let's go back to this. Let's go back to test this, because this is an array. So if I get that, what if I get rid of, remove duplicates? Hold on. Filter. Yeah, let's just take it step by step. So this is split out. So if I take this split and go to Google Sheets right now, let's see what I get. And then we'll add in steps if things are messed up. So I will append a row in a sheet. So what I'm going to say is I have a Google Sheets account, And I'm going to append a row, which means add, right? And I'm going to choose here, Google, I'm going to do maps. I got a lot of sheets in here. Is it this one? Google lead, map, this maps email. Oh, what am I doing? What are these? That's my main one, I guess. I've got so many accounts. Here it is, Google. No, Maps is what I want. They're all the same. Okay. Let's see what's in Maps email. Right here. Maps email. Right here. This is Psychics, I guess. And then Psychics. Right. Values to send. Whatever I say, emails. Let's send those. And see, it's going to bring out this array thing, I think. So I think it's going to write to it. It's going to write some other crap. No, okay, it didn't even write to it, which is good. I think when it does write, it's going to write a bunch of crap to it because it's in an array. You don't have access to credentials in Google Sheets. That's what I was messing with this for. Let's see if I have access now. I don't know. Yeah, well, let's see what it did. Emails. That's right, because I didn't put the variable in there. So if I get rid of this, right, and I then put the variable in, and then I test it. Let's see how messy this looks. Oh, I should have removed all of them. Yeah, it's going to say email, and then it's got all this crap. See, it has the brackets, everything, so it's putting it back in there. But I don't want it really to be put in that way, so let me move all this. Hold on. Let me move this. Like, I'm going to, and this is important too, that you hit delete rows. Because if you just delete this stuff, it's going to start your next sort of push at the next row down. So it's better just to delete the rows. I mean, that's what's important. Okay, so let's just check some things so we can get that out of there. Oh, so we're back here. Google Sheets, that's fine. It's writing the way it's in the array. We want to strip it out of there. So we got to figure that out. Let's go back here. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is just run the workflow again. I want to get this sort of reloaded as far as it goes. I mean, it's probably going to write the same crap to Google Sheets, I'm sure, and so we'll have to go delete it. And then what we'll do is we'll look at the data because it's going to be back nodes and everything, so I can just look through the data individually. We could sort out what we don't want. Probably add another filter in there. So it sent 10 items, so you know it's going to send the same sort of crap that we had before, which is just like, looks like it was put in an array, so we just got to strip it out of that stuff, right? So there you go. So now it's turned off. Now we got to come back here and find the culprit. So let's look at it again. Okay, so it's split this out. Well, we need to see what that does. I guess what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to see what these fields are. What? Why would it take my name away? That's frustrating. Hold on, let me rerun everything again. It should error now, I'm sure, but I do prefer my copying and pasting over everything. So we'll look at this aggregate thing. Here we go. Emails. Test. Okay. run this. Oh, you probably don't. Look at this. There's a little thing here. So if I run this node, maybe that's all I need to do. Huh. That's interesting. Wonder. Well, this is never gonna work, but I think I gotta put a thing in it, right? So let's just see what happens. Some code in it. So this is just us troubleshooting, figuring out. I mean, you can't go wrong, basically. But I wanted to include like the steps I go through to look at things to eventually we get this thing solved, because I mean at the end of the day this is the same stuff, so we definitely want to still remove these. At the end of the day this is the best way I think to sort it out. See, it's making this list again, which I don't want. All items to a single list. Now I don't understand why this goes away. Include fields. Output type data. Let's just leave it like this for a minute. Hold on. I'm just seeing what it's trying to do. So if I leave that and run this thing, let's just see what it's trying to do. Because once we do a split out, I think. Oh, do you know what I'm going to do? What if? Right, there's still going to be that. Yeah, it didn't even write to this thing, so it didn't go here because it's split out. See, this could continue. But it should be like this, like data. That's not the way it should be. So what I'm going to probably do, which is not part of the problem, but something I think I should do, is maybe down here. Let's do this. Right, let's take this. What the heck? I thought I dropped it in there. Okay, so I test this. Include all other fields, emails. I test this. Because what I can do, I think, let's see here. Okay. No idea what's going on with that. Let's see where this left us at the very end. Okay. Let's see what this split out did to us. Emails to emails. Good. So now I think this is where I'm able to, what if I get rid of this, just for the time being? And what if inside here I do the filter, right? So what if I filter after that to get this set of emails into the filter to get rid of the crap I don't want, like this. I don't want that. What if I filter it out here? Because it looks like the data's already there. Kept one item, no. Oh, right, because we gotta say this has to continue. Right? So what if I say, because you don't want it to stop after just a bad run. So let's see what happens. I think I might have to get rid of this, test the workflow. I think I can run individual nodes, but I don't know. I mean, we should try doing that. It'd probably take less time than me rerunning this all the time. But if I can run through this filter here, maybe I can remove duplicates at this level, then send it up to to the Google Sheets and have it do its thing, right? Maybe that's the idea. Okay, so let's see what this did though. Okay, that's great. So now let's get rid of some of this crap, like the century.io. So let's say if I don't have the word century, I just don't know how robust any of this is and what it's actually doing behind the scenes. So I don't understand why it keeps doing that. What if this filter, what if I rerun this thing? Test step, no, what's this thing? Activate, I don't know the difference. Let's see, I guess that's maybe running it. Okay. Now if I look at this thing, since I ran the last one, you would think it'd be here, but it's not. So let's add like duplicates, right? So this I think is where we can sort of remove the duplicates, I think. All right. Remove emails. Right. Okay, let's just test it and see what happens, because we've just added some new thing. So we got, so the loop is, okay, you get the emails, you split them out, you filter them, because again, here we got the URLs, we sorted them out and everything. Here we got the emails, we're sorting them out and everything. And then we're gonna see what happens. Send it up here, aggregate it. Hopefully it's formatted in a reasonable way. If not, we'll deal with that. So this is done, but it didn't go, let's see up here. Data. Interesting. Okay. So we're here. Let's loop, set, continue with the error, is that right? That's good. Oh, you know what? Cat loop. Okay, so I think what we have to do, well, I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but I'm going to go in here and turn on the error thing, because what I wanted to do, I'm going to specifically tell it, like on success go to there, then on error stop. That's fine. So that goes through the loop. I'm not sure that's helpful, but I definitely want to do that, even though I don't think the, what I want, I see this looped that. Yeah. So that loop sent us there. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna go back to this first loop here. That says data. So that's bringing the URL in. So if I go to this loop, I don't wanna, let's see here. I wanna go from remove dupes, I think. Let's see what this is, remove dupes. And I want this. I don't know how that was in there. I don't know. Because what we're doing is doing the URL down here, and then we're going to come up here, and then we're going to go back through and do emails. So I don't really know how that happened. Huh. It's going on a loop. Okay, it's done, it's done. It's going up through this loop. Done, done, done. Okay. Let's see what happened. Okay, we're just going to go, if we do that, 21 items. So let's just make sure everything's set. Continue, okay. That's fine. We want this thing to continue. Okay, we're going to reselect it again, I guess. Oh no, let's run the workflow now. Because you see, it had one item before because it stopped working, but it was already set on continue. I don't know. That's the thing about things like this. It's just like you just gotta sort of go through them, I suppose. I still don't think it's going to go all the way through, but at least what we can do is then start looking. node by node to see if we got what we wanted. So this is 21, so this is okay. So this is good. So that got all of those. So this loop, 13 or so, okay, so this is okay. It looks like it got what it needed. Hold on. Continue. Well, this is overload. Yeah, it's fine. So if that did it, then the email got its 13. But here it goes with this getting data instead of the URL again. So I mean, instead of the email again. So we've got to look at that because what did this have it? Like, if, let's see if we can look at JSON. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of nonsense, huh? That's not helpful. Okay. Let's see here. The emails, split, how'd this split it out? Yeah. So it looks like it split out some emails. Okay. Then we filtered them. What's this? Oh yeah, we got rid of those, hopefully. We removed duplicates. Okay, we've got 12 of 12. Okay. Send it back to here. Okay. See, this shouldn't say data, I don't think. If you say like emails. Okay. Should it say emails? Hold on. We'll see what happens. I don't think anything's written to the Google Sheet sense, which is good. Here we go. See, it didn't go up here. Okay. Okay, so this is where it stops. So let's go into it. Oh yeah, let's go individual fields. And let's go emails. Oh, I didn't spell that right. Because you want to put these in individual fields. So that's probably a good idea. Hold on. So you can see how frustrating this gets, just building something like this. But again, we have very little to no experience with these tools. This is a brand new tool. So we're just trying to see what it takes for it to actually send some stuff our way. I wonder if we test this thing, is it gonna, so it says it, it's okay. Input, fit field name, input, oh that's just if you want different. I think if you want to add more, right? You know, we also have to merge this somehow. Oh, there's a merge list button. That's good. I don't think that's going to help us get the stuff there, but we certainly have to merge the list at some point, right? Because we want to merge it all into one, right? But I still don't think that solved the problem of what we have sending this work up here after this loop is done. So I think we'll look into that next, but we certainly want, yeah, so these settings are now, I think, good. So now I just have to say, how do I push this loop when it's done, these 10 up there, because that's what we're looking for, right? Those 10 to go up there. Okay, I think the thing to do is to simplify this thing. So let's get this loop gone, this part of the loop gone, this kind of loop gone. And what we'll do is keep this simple loop, and on the done, we'll add the filters and everything that way, because I just wanted to get up here to the done. So if I take this off, right, if I get to the aggregator later, and if I make my done, no, what I'll do here, I'll move this over here. I'll say go to the aggregator. Looks pretty good, maybe I'll do it like that. And then inside here, I'll do all the work. So let's just see if I can get it to the aggregator by taking all this stuff out of the loop there. See, whenever you have a problem, the best thing to do is minimize it, work around it, and maybe one of those splits or things inside there were preventing it to go up because I was just doing something incorrectly. So we'll know because it'll go to this aggregate. Okay. So then it went all the way through. So it's probably written some crappy things in here, right? Delete. Right. So that's good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix it all here because if I got the data here, I'm going to fix it all here before it goes to my Google Sheet. So we're going to do it step by step. The first thing I'm going to do is split stuff out. Right? So let's split it out. Oops. Click it. I want to make sure this is continued. And then I'm going to take this email field. Then I'm going to test it. Okay. That's okay. Okay, so let me run this thing. Should go all the way through. We're not going to get vastly different stuff right now, but I'm going to filter, remove the duplicates, and then hopefully just send email addresses over instead of all the nonsense I sent over before. See, now it's good. I've got email addresses, but the problem is because they're not filtered, and which means I've got this crap. It means that I've got to get rid of all of this. So again, the thing to do is come all the way down here, go all the way back to the top, shift. Oh, wow, that sucked. Oh no. Boy, my skills are not really good with Excel, are they? Okay, I'm going to remove these rows. Yeah. So I'm going to take this. I don't know what the problem is. All the way to the top, I'm going to hit Shift. I'm going to grab all these and remove these, delete all these rows. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the top. So we're feeling pretty good about what's going on here. But now I need to filter out some of that stuff. Because you see, that's 402 items that went to the thing. I don't want that. So I know there's a filter, right? So if I put this filter in here, and then I could say, hey, here are the emails, right? And if they don't match, I'm just going to put something. Like I'll just hit test, right? This means it should discard everything. Yeah. So I'm going to go to the discard list. I'm going to go just like towards the last page. And look, my site. So I definitely don't want that in there. So if I take this value and put my site and run this again, it's going to now discard everything with my site, which is 16 items, and keep these. So now that I have this list, I'm going to start back at the beginning. And this Gmail, so I'm going to leave those for now. But look, there's duplicates, so we're going to remove duplicates next. So these are fine. Okay, the century stuff I don't like. So if I put that pipe in here again, because remember this time we're filtering emails, so I'm going to call it an email filter. Remember last time we were filtering out URLs, so now we're filtering out emails. So now I've only got 23 items left because I got rid of that century word, which is nice. So I want to see if there's anything else in here that I don't like. So these 23 seem reasonable. That's fine. So if I take that, and now if I duplicates, like if I remove the duplicates, right? Now this should, yeah. There's 10 items left because there's no duplicates, right? Hey, what happened? What the other? Oh, why did this go clear over there? I don't know. Okay, so let's see what's in nothing. So now if I hit test workflow, while we're looking at this and it's going over, it looks kind of interesting this way, right? Because, okay, look, I've got 10 emails, there's no duplicates, and they look all right. It's kind of interesting, right? Here we're going to get data, we're bringing it in, we're filtering it, right? So that we get it the way we want it. Then it loops, and then it loops, makes emails. So now we have emails, and now we put the email, output, we form it the way we want it, then we write it to a sheet. So that's great, right? So now the question is, that's great, but 10 emails, that kind of sucks. But what if I was to go back to this original node, remember, and I hit enter, and what if I went and copied this, right? So if I took all this and copied, right, and I made another one, right, and put Control V. But remember, after these, you need those commas. Remember, we deleted them before, we got to put them in. So now if I do psychics, what if I do Cleveland? The question is, would it automatically loop through this list or not? So let's save this, right? Because now we have this. May not work. I may need to make another workflow, because this is the idea. If I make another workflow and I make it loop through a list like this, and then I execute this based on my loop, that'll probably be successful, because there's nothing here telling it to loop that. So if I'm going to go delete these, just remember, we got these 10 emails from just like, what the heck? Okay, I'm just going to delete. Sure, it doesn't matter. Let's go back up to the top. So remember, we got 10 emails just from, Columbus proper or whatever for psychics. So here we go. So it's going through the list. Okay, let's go to Google Sheets. But look, if you go look, same deal. I mean, we didn't get any additional emails whatsoever. And that's because this thing is going to take like one set. But what if, I take this out? What if I was to take this, Control C, and then move up, move all of this. Gotta remove that. But now let's put the comma after here. We're just trying. See, the point is, we're trying different things. There's no red dot there. We know our formatting's right. I don't need a comma because there's nothing else. Let's save this, right? So, okay, you see what just happened? So now it's only Cleveland. So, because there's not two different fields. So that's the thing you need to know. So let's test the workflow like this. So that's where we're going to be for the next video. This one's going on an hour, and it took an hour to build this thing from, well, not knowing anything really. So there you go. And so now we've got some more email addresses. Okay. So now we know. So the way we're going to finish this thing off is I'm going to get rid of this trigger, right? And I'm going to add a new trigger, but this time I'm going to say when called by another workflow. Hey, what happened there? Oh, that's the trigger, I guess. When called by another workflow, right? So now I'm going to leave that there if I can find it. Okay. So I think what's important now, I think that I put this here and I connect it. So I think on the next video, I'm going to have this workflow, whatever we're going to call it. I'm going to call this thing like Google Maps Scraper, right? Because now, the next time, what I can do is I can take this and send another workflow its way. So I can take a bigger list, loop through the list one at a time, send things over here one at a time. So that's going to be the next video, but for now, this would just do one set of instructions, but the next video we're going to try to do is to figure the next step out. So thanks for watching. You know, I know our videos are much longer than the gurus and the experts because we're not gurus or experts. But at least you get to see some troubleshooting and see how we get to the end of what we really want. So I'm going to hit save on this project. I can't believe I haven't hit save this whole time. You may want to do that occasionally. I'm not sure if I was to exit out of this or whatever, what saves and what doesn't save. So if I was to test the workflow now, it's just going to sit here and, you know, let's see what it does. Okay, so I don't think it'll go all the way through because it had no data, right? Because it's listening. So I'm just going to get rid of that altogether. But that's it. So appreciate it. Thanks for watching AI Noobs, and you know, check back in later in the week for another long, frustrating video. Thanks, guys. See ya.